have a solution. The Whine No Whine Show, where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour, where we gather people from all different walks of life and perspectives, and we talk about everything that everyone has told you not to. Religion, politics, and everything under the sun. Nothing is off limits, and we do it all over a glass of wine. So grab a glass and join us as we save America, one civil conversation at a time.
3, 2, 1, action!
And we're on? Oh, God. I was kind of thrown by that. I didn't even realize you were doing pre-roll. Hey, we're professionals. Don't try this at home. Welcome to the Whine No Whine Show, the only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour. America, we have a problem. You know what I'm talking about. I refer to it as the zero to Nazi effect. This is the effect in any given conversation where there's a disagreement, especially on social media. It's the length of time that it takes to go from 0 to you're a Nazi. I will now punch you in the face and go outside and set fire to your car. Because that's how we disagree in America. Well, we have a solution on the Whine No Whine Show. It's wine. Oh, we need that sound, production crew. We need that sound. A nice, cool, angelic choir in the background whenever I do that. We're going to work on that. Yeah. We're going to work on that.
Get the Mormons involved.
Get the Mormons involved. We just lost Utah. They're gone.
You're halfway to Nazi right now.
Yeah, right. I know. We're halfway to Nazi right there. Well, on today's show, we have a really fun topic. This is the wine show first. We've never, ever had a chosen topic before the show, and we're doing that on today's show. And the topic is cryptocurrency. Is it here to stay? So I'm really curious what your thoughts are on this subject. Chime in with your questions, your comments. I know a lot of people have wanted us to do a show on cryptocurrency, but just not a lot of us knew that much about it. But we've got some folks who know some stuff about it today, and some of us who don't, and we're going to ask a lot of questions.
Say yes, Saul.
So
Say
before
yes.
I turn it over to our guests to give their shameless plugs and introductions, I'm going to start pouring the wine today. The wine is a Bright Willow Coteau de Miramont, and the actual wine is a Carignan. We just lost France. France tuned out. They're like, stupid Americans. Stupid Americans always pronouncing things wrong. Anyway, I really just lost France right there. Anyway, this is from Languedoc, France. That's where the wine is from today. And it is a classic varietal in southern France. And this version is a perfect example. Flavors from the region abound with cooked blackberries, warm earth, and leather on both the nose and the palate. The medium levels of tannins make it easy to drink young, but we suggest decanting it and aerating it first. So, we've got a picture of it up there. After the show, we are going to rate the wine, and I will have that rating posted up on Instagram tomorrow with the rating, so you can find out all about it. So make sure you follow us on Instagram and be a part of that little party. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to the guests so they can introduce themselves, and I'm going to start pouring some delicious wine for the guests to savor. Steve, take it away.
Hello, my name is Steve Williams, and much to one other person's chagrin, I am the original grapehead, so there. All right, well, the only shameless plug I really have is for folks to really be aware of donations, organ donations, that kind of thing. I need a kidney. Again, I'm going to probably do that probably every show from now on. So if there's anybody out there interested, hit me up. I'll tell you where to go, who to talk to, and we'll take it from there. So there it is.
All right, Miss Tonya.
Hello there. I'm Tonya Hofmann, the CEO and founder of the Public Speakers Association, which is a global organization of fabulous people who want to go out and change lives from the front of the room. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Saul.
Well, I am Saul Carrillo. I am a co-owner, co-founder, co-everything with Tribe, the agency. I am actually the war chief, as crazy as that may sound. And we give back 10% of every dollar that we make as a company to a charity. So when you're helping us, we're helping people out there in your name.
Very cool. Scott?
I never get to be the war The war guy.
War Chief.
The war chief.
I know.
We can get you a bonnet and a cigar or whatever.
I'm
Cigar.
Scott Apley. I need a cigar. That'd be good. I'm Scott Apley. I'm a late blooming grape head. I have no claim or stake of claim of being an original grape head. Thank God I'm not in that fight. My vote's for David Pipkin, though, but that's a side note.
Crap.
Hey, you know we were talking about Paris or France or whatever?
Yes.
You know the main beautiful entryway where they have all those beautiful trees and then the arch, the Champs de
Arc
Lamps?
de Triomphe.
Yeah, that.
Arc
You know
de
why
Triomphe.
all those trees are there? This is a good historical fact.
Yes.
Trees with the big bushes and all that, so the Germans could march through in the shade. So that's my shameless
They
plug.
were really thoughtful, weren't they?
Oh, that's just wrong. There we go.
I thought the Romans planted those trees.
I wanted to take the heat off you.
All right, thank you.
You're good.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, you just won over all of France right there. Yes. So today we have an interesting subject here, guys. I want to know what your thoughts are on this cryptocurrency. Is it here to stay? It's been in the news a whole lot. I've heard all sides of conversations about it. So I definitely am interested in what your thoughts are on this subject. Let us know what you think and what your questions are. And as the comments come in, production crew is going to throw it up on the screen. So you guys are as much a part of the show as the guests on the show. You just don't get to enjoy the delicious wine we have. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the guests now and kind of give like a bullet point. Give me a minute or less kind of a thing on what your thoughts are on cryptocurrency and what your opinion of it is. Is it something that's going to be sticking around? Is it the greatest thing since sliced bread or the end of civilization as we know it? Or somewhere in between? Steve, take it away.
All right. Well, I have never really delved into the realm of cryptocurrency. I am aware of it. I know that there's people that have wallets and ledgers and transactions and miners, and so the actual operations of a cell, for lack of a better term, to me, that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not into this, and so I'm going to be learning an awful lot on this program about that. So that's about all I have.
Okay.
I'm sitting next to the expert, though.
Tanya.
Wait, I'm following the expert.
Expert.
And I'm following you. I'm good.
So let's, put exclaimers out there. I didn't know what cryptocurrency was until right before Christmas. So yeah, expert. But that's how easy it is, and that anybody can learn this stuff because it's not hard once you get out of the geek terms.
All right.
But yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
amazing. It's already across the world. The Americans are always the slowest ones to catch on what's going on the rest of the
Silly
world.
Americans.
Yeah, it's here to stay for sure.
Wow. We just had a comment from Roger Hernandez there. He said $6,625 equals 1 Bitcoin today. I was actually curious about that, so
Wow.
thank you for posting that, Roger.
That's
I was-
worth more than gold.
Oh,
Gold,
yeah.
I think, trades at about $1,500 an ounce.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Oh,
take 1/6,000th of a Bitcoin, please.
You can.
correct me if I'm
Okay.
wrong, though. Didn't Bitcoin get up to
Oh
like
yeah.
15.
15, 16? I think.
Actually,
yeah.
I think it went all the way up to 18.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I knew it was at
Then
least 16.
yeah, market corrected and all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it's here to stay. I mean, that's an unfortunate thing. The genie's out of the bottle. It's never going to go back. But the problems involved with them, I think, are going to be almost astronomical when you look at it. I mean, just from the fact that it's digital currency and it's money that if I'm a hacker, I look at you and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna get me my money without having to do anything. There's a lot of logistical things that, because it's so new, that makes it a little bit dangerous. So I don't necessarily think that it's a good thing, but I also don't think it's completely a bad thing. So it's kind of a time will tell type of thing.
All right. Scott.
So I've watched probably about 17, 18 YouTube videos on cryptocurrency this week, and I'm pretty much an expert on cryptocurrency and blockchains and speculative nature and all that. So
you studied.
So I studied a little.
Oh.
I did. I wanted to come in here a little bit prepared. I still think that I'm not completely plugged into the whole concept,
Nice.
but I think, so is it here to stay? I think that if you're saying, is it here to stay the way that it is now? I think the answer is no. I think eventually people are going to get their hands on it and it's going to modify and it's going to evolve. But I think some kind of cryptocurrency will end up being here at some point, long term.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, just a quick comment. I don't know if production. Okay, you got it. Okay. Calvin said, there you go. We had a little low audio, I think. I don't know if anybody else, if you guys are having a little hearing problem, chime in. Hopefully, I think we got that already fixed. Anyway, all right. So Samantha actually asked a question. She said, why is Bitcoin so expensive? Is it a stock market thing? Where did it come from? So it's kind of some good intro questions there.
Right.
Right? I think it's a good intro to the subject. Where did it come from and why is it so expensive?
I know. It came to somebody in a dream at
2:30
1:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. And then somebody at 3:30 in the morning said, hey, that's a great idea. I'm in. So, oh, wait, that's somebody else. Sorry.
Wine No Wine Show history there. Yes.
It's gonna be in the trivia pursuit game.
Right. It'll be
Yeah,
in the-
yeah. We're gonna put
definitely
that in
a
there.
pursuit game. Yes.
I mean,
So,
there's enough
where'd it-
on,
where'd
you
it come
know, yeah, there's enough on, you know, where it came from, so y'all could easily look at that information and historical data type of stuff. But more importantly, why is it worth way, you know, $15,000, $16,000 per coin? That's really what you should be asking,
Yep.
right? And what most people don't really understand is there's thousands of coins out there, and you have to buy Bitcoin in order to buy any of the altcoins. So because of that, you have to be able to get some Bitcoin and then use it. And the usability factor is why Bitcoin is worth so much.
Well, all right, I'm out of here, guys. That's about all we're over my head already.
All right, we out of here.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me talk about the value of Bitcoin and what my infinite wisdom and research taught me. So so the value of it is a huge concern for me currently. The reason why is I believe that it's a huge bubble. I agreed with what I read as far as that goes. Right now, Bitcoin primarily is not being used as a currency, right? A lot of people don't accept Bitcoin. Some people do, but it's growing, the network's growing. But right now, it is working as like a commodity. It's speculative. So right now, you have all these hip young kids going, Bitcoin's the coolest thing in the world. I'm gonna buy my Bitcoin, and you're creating. And there's only so much Bitcoin, right? There's a fixed number. It's finite. It's not like the Federal Reserve. They're not going to print more Bitcoin or make more Bitcoin. So what you have is scarcity driving market raises with no real underlying asset or anything propping up that value. So I think that there's already been a big bubble pop to some degree, but I think that there's more of that in the future.
Well, they've lost a lot of money, but it's kind of akin to the housing bubble. You know, houses were overpriced, loans were made that people couldn't really pay, and that's kind of where we're heading with that. And that to me is why there's a huge issue with it. Now, there is some legitimacy to it, and I can tell you it's going to be around for a long time because I think PayPal just filed to be able to do their own digital type currency stuff. So PayPal's been here a while. They're probably going to be here a while longer, and if they get what they want, they're probably going to get and become a bigger, giant gorilla in the room. However, as it stands right now, I agree with you in the fact that I don't think it's going to stay the way it is because it is largely, it's like buying futures. You're taking a guess and you're going, I think the wind's blowing this way. What makes them attractive is the liquidity and the ability to, within minutes, do a transaction. You see the market going up, you're like, okay, I got here, okay, I can sell. And it's kind of like playing stocks. You can sit there and sell when it's, hopefully when you're at the apex. Problem is that most people don't follow that as closely, and as it devalues and goes down, like you said, it's a finite number. So there's only so many people that can feed at the trough. Mm-hmm. You know, and the people that own stuff is not because they bought it. The people that bought in at the very beginning, the next people that bought it from a person that bought it 100 shares ago, and then they bought it from a person, the other 500 people that sold it, because that's why it's kind of keeps getting cut down into more and more and more little pieces. So it's just the sustainability of the way it is right now. I don't see it happening. I think it will eventually, flash and burn.
Who were the original buyers of Bitcoin and this cryptocurrency? Who was actually targeted to go into this type of?
At the beginning, it was gamers that they were trying to figure out, what it is. That's why a lot of people discounted at the beginning. They're like, oh, it's just gaming tokens. No one really took it seriously until they started transaction. And so that's the point that I wanted to raise, is the rest of the world is already using it. And you could go buy homes, cars, you could go to almost any dealer now, they'll take Bitcoin. You can buy, like I said, real estate, which you're in the real estate market, right? So you really can go and buy a Subway sandwich, a Starbucks coffee, especially if you're in the other parts of the world. The more and more, I think it's like Switzerland is like 100% digital now. Kenya is like 78%. So the world is already going digital. We see that with Pay and all of the other pay services. So this is just another way for people to create it. But the problem is there's so many really fake coins, and that's why I love that the government's finally coming in and regulating it and getting rid of the ones that are only there. I mean, once they created a Jesus coin and a puppy love coin, you're like, okay, yeah, they got to do something, because there is a lot of scammers out there, and I'm glad that they're starting to kind of crack down on the scamming that's going on.
That would have been my next question: is what are the exposures? What are the risk of getting into this? Obviously, we've kind of had some nuances about some hacking risks to your accounts.
So there's
that kind of
no
stuff.
way anyone can hack somebody's actual wallet. The hacking that happens is in the exchanges. So you never leave your money in an exchange. You always leave your money in your e-wallet.
Right, but the problem with the whole scenario is that, okay, it's not I come to you, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, here's my money, you give me the Bitcoin, it's done. There's a transactional nature that goes with it, where it's a chain versus one. And it depends to a certain degree on the person in the link of the chain to actually be honest. And call me jaded, I think there might be some people out there that might lie every once in a while.
So the way the blockchain works is that keeps those kind of people out. And that's why really the real technology a part of this, the blockchain is so powerful. That's why you see all the banks getting into it. Everyone's getting into it and so excited because of that. The blockchain technology is going to finally help people stop the hackers in their spot.
Well, once we actually get there, at this point though, we're still like, I started fire, look, and everybody's looking around and going, that's wonderful. The technology's there, the genie's out of the bottle, but we haven't gotten to the point where we actually embrace it and understand it wholeheartedly in a way that we can control it. And that, I think, is the big problem. That's where the security comes into the problem, because it's not necessarily that we aren't trying to legislate or trying to run and control. The problem is that, everybody goes to YouTube, for example, and gets their information from the internet, gets their information from YouTube, starts thinking, oh, I understand it. This is how people that got into the stock market early on and lost everything, was because they thought they understood it, because they talked to a friend of a friend who had a friend who knew a friend who knew a guy whose dog's brothers, uncles, cousins once made $1 million like this. And that's the problem. People are inherently misled to a certain degree, because what was the big thing? You'll get a huge return on your investment almost overnight.
People will make a lot of money. And the problem is no one reads the white papers on why the coin was created. So they'll go buy the Jesus coin and go, hey, I got something and it's going to go up. And the coin goes away because the guy made $400 million and he's like, okay, I had enough, and it goes poof. So that's where it really is. And you have to look at, why was the coin created? Bill Gates wouldn't have created one if there wasn't a purpose for it, right? He wouldn't put in $450 million or whatever it was. You see these people that are creating it for really great, things to happen in this world. And you also have to look at, we're so comfortable here in the States, we forget that most of the world is really looking for a way to bank, right? And that's really the exciting part, is that we actually get a chance to help people have a bank and be able to actually do money and trade with each other and not have to worry about putting their money in a jar or in a mattress because they have no banking option. So for the rest of the world, they're already into it. They're already like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I could easily send things. And then, Amazon, all of these huge companies they're just dying to take digital, right? Because there is no fees. There's no way to charge back anybody, right? They don't get any more chargebacks. The fees are almost, just teeny tiny compared to the banking fees. That's why the banks are getting into it. One of the executives on Bitcoin is from Visa. Why do you think that? Because they're like, oh my gosh, the banking industry is going to be completely destroyed. Because nobody's going to want to pay the credit card fees anymore. They won't have to.
Well, so that's what gets me about that teeny tiny little fee. That teeny tiny little fee is what is. I think there's a.
You can't expect someone to have a business and not charge you anything
well,
for
yes. It. So I'm thinking that with that teeny tiny little fee, there's got to be something to that.
The exchanging. So it's just like an exchange if you're trying to sell stocks, right? You have
infrastructure.
Exactly. They've got to actually take the risk of taking the coins and giving you cash for it.
What is the given volume of trade or transactions in the cryptocurrency?
I know
market?
in 2 years they're expecting it to be $5 trillion. So I'm in.
Do you see how that might work to handle something that you and I are, Scott and I are involved with, politics? We could really do some damage or put some big dents in that.
I think
debt.
some candidates are taking Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Some are.
They should.
Now Saul mentioned something a minute ago. He was talking about that people were getting in because it was a good investment, and I mean that goes back to my point of it being speculative. Right now, it's not being used as a currency. People are using it as an investment, and my understanding is that the SEC has already, good government regulators have already come in and say we want to basically regulate this and make this a Form K regulation company. So where they're going to basically, it's going to be traded on an exchange, and so instead of being a currency, it basically becomes a stock.
So in other words, we go from a speculative and kind of a hesitation in people who are not as well versed in the cryptocurrency market to a substantive commodity where I could have a couple of Bitcoins in my pocket and I'm buying dinner tonight.
Exactly.
So I'm looking to where is the next step? Are we looking at, like you said, 2 years? Are we looking at this becoming more commonplace? Is this something that anybody can get into at any point? I mean, the people that got into it at first are the ones that are reaping the whirlwind right now on this. And so, like we were talking earlier, we were thinking, well, this sounds an awful lot like a multi-level marketing thing like selling soap. So what I'm trying to get at is where do we go from like this timestamp? We timestamp right now. We say, okay, in 6 months, where are we going to be with this? Is this something that many of us should research and start, who are looking to retire and form up your portfolios for retirement? Is this something that would benefit us in the not necessarily short term, but in a good methodical way? Can we rely on this?
See, that the way you pose that question to me, it sounds a lot like the conversation you would have with buying gold, right? This is going to be a supplement to my retirement. This is going to be a hedge against inflation of the dollar.
Right.
But the problem is that gold is backed by an asset, gold. Bitcoin, on the other hand, right now, I mean, there's no underlying asset.
It's like a fiat currency.
There's
not backed by anything.
Right. And so, now
I have questions revolving around the fiat currency.
The blockchain, my understanding is that blockchain technology is magnificent. It is amazing. Wonderful. However, with cryptocurrency, it has one huge, major, possibly death nail problem. And that is Visa, for example, processes, I believe the number is 26,000 transactions a second. With the blockchain approval process, Bitcoin can only do 30. So you can't, unless they find a way to scale that up, they're never going to be able to compete with other payment processing centers out there.
So this is a good point because Bitcoin's old technology. So if you look at a lot of the companies that are coming in, they already updated everything. Like there's no more mining going on. Only the very old stuff that's still mining. They're all staking now. So there's all of this new technology that comes along to handle, because they didn't know that it would be like, So they're always going to have these new technologies to create it. And if you go to like Japan, everybody takes Bitcoin and all the coins, right? So you literally go to buy a soda and you're buying it with your phone. So, you know, eventually it'll be that way here as well when we kind of get used to the idea.
Yeah, just the hardship is going to be in getting there and getting technology to actually meet up and be able to handle the volume of the stuff that you're going to process.
Well, just like the company that I work with, it's all about long-term usability factor, right? Liquidity of it. So can you go and buy something? So we're coming out with a very first, you know, kind of payment processing company to take coins. Well, now I can sell my coaching services, the association, anything I want to sell, I can take coins with, which is going to be awesome. So there's all of these new technologies that are being formed right now to accept things to make it easy. So all you have to do is open your phone, do the little QR code, and you're done, right?
Right, but we're still playing catch up, like what he said. Basically, the exchange has stepped in and said, you are committing some fraudulent practices. Specifically, a company called, that you invested in a company named Cabbage Tech should have been the first clue that something's wrong. So the exchange came in and said, look, these guys said, yes, we're going to give you great returns and make you lots and lots of money, and then they quit answering your phone after they had your money.
Right.
So
and this is a problem because people are taking people's money and trying to trade with it, and the people don't understand you just gave them their money.
right, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's another one of those things where until the technology and the information kind of coexist together, it's going to be a problem, because it's like me handing, you know, a toddler a gun and putting the bullets next to him. At some point, he may figure out how to put the thing in there and end up shooting himself or somebody else. But until you actually train the person and show them, it's basically you just kind of dropped it on the table and you sat back and you're like, I'm going to watch everybody tear themselves to pieces over it. And that is what I think is the problem with it. That's what's happening. People that know a little bit are saying, hey, come with me, Joe. I got a place to go that you're going to love. Hand me your money.
Right.
And that's the thing. The fact that the government is stepping in, you know, it's much to, you know, back to PayPal. That PayPal wants to have this as a service that they control, that they have their own currency.
No.
Yeah, because they're going to have to.
Did Elon Musk sell all or divest himself of PayPal? That was his first shtick. So he's no longer doing any of that.
Yeah,
so somebody else came in.
Yeah,
with it.
as a
child. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he cashed in when he was
He's
13.
on to bigger things like living on Mars now.
Yeah, he's going to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have is, one, fiat currencies, like I've preached on this subject quite a bit, and I've talked about a book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Every American should read. It should be mandatory reading in schools, which would never happen because there's like mega money behind, making sure that we don't know what the hell is going on behind the scenes. But anyway, fiat currencies scare the crap out of me. There's always massive inflation, and it's not just like once or twice. You can literally look like at the entire history of mankind when we move from a commodity-based economy to a fiat currency, massive inflation. And it's the same course that happens and has happened over and over and over and over throughout history. That's the thing that scares me about, cryptocurrency, is that it's not based on anything. It's even based on less than paper to me, because at the end of the day, at least I have paper. I can draw on it after.
You could burn it to keep warm.
Right after the currency crashes, I have at least enough to get warmed up.
You have cash? That's amazing. Who has
Right,
cash?
I never carry cash. Right?
I got a few bucks.
I have jokingly said forever I quit carrying cash because I'm trying to usher in the end times.
The mark of the beast.
Yeah. Yes. Come on, hurry up! I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. Anyway, I feel like the guy that's at the party ready to bail, go home. So anyway, but I drove and other people are with me and I had to wait.
It's almost like we're at the point where this whole system was developed years ago, but it seems like we're still trying to build that balance of, I've got 3 Bitcoins and they're worth $15,000. I'm going, okay, what are you going to do with that?
Well, and here's my question.
So the market hasn't really caught up yet to what you can use it with.
Here's my question related to the fiat currency aspect of it. How will Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency for that matter deal with the whales in the economy of it, in that there are people that control large chunks of it, and they can manipulate the market by
Old money, new money.
how they
that kind
move
of
in
thing.
and move out.
They all do, though.
To their gain. Yeah. So, but
stocks, you look at anything, it's all created and adjusted by somebody, you know.
And the fact that it's fixed, that they're not gonna, it's not like the Federal Reserve where you're gonna print more money. So if someone were to accumulate Bitcoin and get a 51% share, I mean that's it. That blockchain is all at the mercy of the 51% ownership of the, of the cryptocurrency.
How will they deal with that? I mean, like, is there anything? Is there something that can be done? I don't know. It's something that's in my head that I'm going, that kind of that's one thing that makes me nervous.
Well, you know that it's eventually going to end up being where there's the 1,000 coins that are out there. They'll end up being what, 5, 6, 7 that'll filter to the top that people consider legitimate. That they're like, okay, I could go to Chili's and use my whatever, right?
Right.
So there's going to be a certain ones, and those are the ones that
The market
actually,
will sort that out.
exactly. There's the ones that you'll be able like, oh yeah, I could call John and I could buy something from him with this. So it's the ones that's actually going to end up being usable. All the ones that are just speculative, and that's all they've ever been designed to do is be speculative. Those are going to go away because there's nothing for it to hold and get teeth to, right?
They'll become bubbles. They'll pop. The market will
Exactly.
winnow it out.
So when I looked at all the coins and started getting into it, then I went to my friends who are the millionaires and billionaires, like, so what did y'all do? You know? And they're like, oh, this is what we got into. And I'm like, well, that makes sense because their whole design is to only make it usable, right? So you could go buy, you know, shoes and a purse and, you know, furniture and whatever, right? So you could actually use it. And to me, that was the kind of coin I wanted to be in, not just one that, yeah, I could get in right now for under 2 cents. Yay! Goes up to 4 cents. I just doubled my money. But can I use it? Can I do something with it?
Yeah,
that was
that's
important.
what I'm saying.
And so I echo Joe's fear or concerns about it being a fiat currency because, Lord, far be it from me to defend the American dollar, but at least the American dollar is robust enough and you know,
Beat up enough.
has a you know, a multi-trillion-dollar economy under it. I mean, this fiat currency has air under it. It has nothing.
Well, you got to look
Not even the faith and trust of the American.
But you've got to look to where is everyone in the world wanting to put their money. So they've been wanting to put their money in the U.S., but they've been looking for a while for something else to put their money into. And this is where, when digital came out, they were like, oh my God, this is it, right? But that's why China and Vietnam and some of the other countries are, you know, cut it off. They're like, this is going to mess up our economy.
Sure.
So, you know, they're trying to control it, but they can't control
Where
it.
did it originate, though? Wasn't it in
I think the
United
creator
Was
is
it?
like kept his name silent.
Oh,
Yeah,
right?
no one knows who it actually is.
I never would imagine it would be something that was
Yogoshi
created
or whatever his
here.
name
Yeah.
was. Hershimoto,
yeah,
whatever,
something
whatever
like
it is. Yeah.
You know,
I just lost Japan. They just tuned out.
I think we're at a point in our civilization. Saul said something earlier about how cryptocurrency, the cat's out of the bag and it's here to stay. I don't think that that's true of cryptocurrency. I don't think that's true of anything because our technology advances so rapidly. Whereas you saw Ford created in the 20s through, you know, automation and assembly line and grow, and here we are 80 years later or 100 years later, and Ford is still, but now you're going to see companies boom over and over again. Boom. It's going to be a much
And
more.
countries.
But with that model, I mean, he was producing a commodity, a useful product that people were gonna buy and use. This is something totally different. Like you said, there's nothing but air underneath this thing. So what I'm trying to get at is figure out, where do we go? You said in what, a couple of years this thing's gonna start to kind of get some more legs underneath it, like a shrimp, you know, with lots of little squealies. I'm just thinking, how do we get beyond the natural, what's the word I'm looking for? The natural
Cycle?
Not
Hesitation?
cycle, hesitation in getting into something that doesn't have any air. I would buy a gold coin
Sure.
before I would ever do anything with Bitcoin. That's
And
the
I wouldn't do that, right?
But that's my
I
point
would.
to what Saul said, is that like by the time we get to there could already be a replacement for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrency in general, right? It may be that we think our money into the other person's bank. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying technology is evolving so quickly. Like for example, MySpace, boom, replaced by Facebook. Better technology, better programming. Facebook is only what, 10 years old, 11 years old. My guess is that Facebook is on the clock. Facebook, I mean, we haven't realized it yet, but there is going to be a more efficient, there's going to be a with all this data mining that Facebook's under, there's going to be a replacement to Facebook, and Facebook isn't not going to be an 80-year company at some point, and I think that Facebook's on the clock. I don't know when it is, 5 years, 10 years, but
it definitely won't be a Dow Jones Industrial company. So
Mark, I do not endorse the views of my guests. They have nothing to do with how I feel. I love you.
Maybe Mark Zuckerberg creates the replacement.
You're going to be here forever, and I'm here to support you right along with you. So please don't delete me, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Put me in Facebook jail.
See, the big problem right now is going to be this. I can walk into a store with $1 and buy literally nothing. But let's just go with $1, just picking something. And I can hand somebody $1 and get here's your 10 cents that I'm giving you for your $1. That's all you're getting. No, that's the exchange rate.
Margarita salt.
And if somebody says we're not going to trade with South Korea, it doesn't affect my dollar at that moment. Not today, not tomorrow. For the most part,
because that dollar goes up and down in value.
It will go up in value, but not inherently as quick. I'm not going to lose 50% of my investment in that $1 over one little hiccup like that. And I can't decide I'm just going to hold on to this dollar and save it here, because that cryptocurrency is always fluctuating. Whether I do something with it or not, there's no control over that mechanism of it. And so long as I can't freeze it at a certain level and say, okay, I'm at $15,000 for this, I'm going to freeze it right here and I'm going to keep it at $15,000. If it goes up or down, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't fluctuate, it doesn't matter to me. That, I think, right now is the problem. That, and I'm about to say something.
Let me ask you,
I'm going to make a statement real quick that,
Sure.
that you're going to have to agree with me whether you like to or not. But us older people, yes, that's right, us older people. No, I just said that.
Whoa!
Wait.
You and Steve.
Wait, hold
You and
hold
Steve.
We're the ones that are going to have the hardest time with that component of it. The millennials, actually below the millennials, are going to be the ones that are going to do really well with stuff like that, because they don't have enough sense yet to be scared of the things that we're scared of.
Yeah, but if you look at my grandfather was telling me before he died. He said,
Come on, give me that.
he said he remembered one day we were talking about, weird things. He goes, yeah, I remember when checkbooks came around. He goes, there was no way there was all of my friends and family and everyone just said there's no way this is going to work. No one's going to be able to write on a piece of paper and hand it to someone and someone take it. And we're like, nowadays we're like, yeah, it's a new concept, and this is something, right? Checks, right?
I've heard of such a thing.
Exactly,
I've actually seen
right?
it myself.
I work in the insurance industry where they still ask for voided checks.
Yep.
I'm like, what are you all freaking? This is not 1980, all right? I'm like, I don't even have checks anymore. I'm like.
And so the
reason
it's going to work for the newer generations, millennials and beyond, is because the same way with the internet. They don't know a world without the internet. So we all had to kind of transition our thinking and our way of using technology, where they're going to be like, y'all used to give people dirty paper out of your pocket to pay for stuff? That's crazy, So
I mean, don't you already do that when you go into a store and someone's paying with, coins and they're trying to, get out their, you're like, oh my God, just zap it and go. And this is the problem that I think that a lot of people have, especially when you go around the world.
So tell me some of the advantages. What problem is Bitcoin solving?
So let's look at, for business, it finally gives businesses a way to not have so many fees, right? So this is going to be revolutionary for
They're going to
business.
find a way to fee the crap out of you when you do that stuff.
I mean, like as soon as
that's
the government
the
gets
dinosaur
involved.
coming back to take a bite out of that.
So right now, I'm just talking about right now,
sure,
right?
Sure.
And then there's, when you start looking at chargebacks, which, that puts people out of business, especially small business owners. Mm-hmm. There's no way to charge back anything. So when someone makes a purchase, you're kind of done with that. So businesses will definitely, they're already getting into it. They're already super excited about that, for each individual's, and we're not looking just, well, this is the problem with the United States, because I talk to people all over the world, is looking at what is it for U.S. versus someone in Nigeria or in Vietnam or in Russia or in UK, right? They can go easily and go use it now. There's a usability factor that they never had before. And so
But
now
they call it Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, and because everyone's got a phone, everyone's got a smartphone, right? So this is something that people can actually now do from a phone. They don't have to have a physical bank, and they don't have to have physical things they have to go hide, right? So no one can steal it from them.
Are you going to be able to borrow Bitcoin? Are you going to be able to loan Bitcoin?
The banks are getting into it. They're all got their, they're all ready for it. So I'm sure it is.
I'm really seeing this
Maybe
as
I
an
could
evolution,
lend
because
my
if you go
Bitcoin
back and
or
look at
whatever I want to.
what Joe was talking about, that book, the Jekyll
Creature from Jekyll Island.
You go back and look at the history of the American economy and how a very few select people were the movers and shakers, and they shaped where we were going back then. And 100 years, that's where we're at right now. So where we're at right now with this whole cryptocurrency idea is it's in its infancy. It has its ups and downs, but as a traditional investor, most people look at that lower left-hand corner and they look for an incline going up and up and up and up and up to the upper right. That's what they traditionally want to see. They don't want to see this porpoising thing with this new way of banking and currency, because what I see here is that you buy into this system and you kind of watch it grow, and you're not working at it, you're not doing anything really with it other than just playing on your phone. It just doesn't seem to be a very traditional. It's going to be hard for someone like me to,
because there's no
quali-
goods, there's no
qualify
service, there's nothing there for
just
you to.
nothing. I can't call somebody and say, hey, move 200 Bitcoins over to XYZ. You're not going to get that.
Why?
I don't know. I don't see that. I really don't see that.
Well, see,
Well,
So-
even trading,
the thing
right?
the thing that we haven't said anything about in reality, the main reason that this was kind of created to a certain degree was so that you take the government completely out of my digital transactions. That way, whether you're in Russia, whether you're in Mexico, whether you're wherever you're at,
You just won a
We
whole heck of a lot of
completely-
people with that one.
that and that's why it becomes attractive to other places, because you've now basically said, oh, you're in the USA, no problem, we can trade with you. You're in South Korea, hey, well, there's an embargo, but there's certain things that you now are able to do that before. I mean, think of it. They were using it in Cuba when we were saying you can't trade with Cuba. Well, we don't really care because we have no border. We have a digital domain where nothing exists, where everything is in the etherealness of stuff, and we're able to do that. And that is what makes it both attractive and dangerous.
I really wish I had a crystal ball where I could rub it and say, take me 100 years from now and show me what exists as of that time, what exists as the cryptocurrency market, what is going on in 100 years with this. If you had that, obviously if you had it 100 years ago and you could see where we're at right now, I see the cryptocurrency market or the industry going the same exact way as we are right now with our traditional banking and economies.
And it
I
could,
think it's
but
going to be.
because it's global, right? So now you have a global perspective
Yep.
versus just a country saying something is worth so much. Or now suddenly, like, in India, suddenly their whole currency, half of their currency wasn't even there anymore, right?
I'm just kind of
So-
going, who's going to mess this up? Who's going to try to interject and try to control this? And I guarantee it's going to be right here. They're going to try to control it. Really,
She just scared the bejesus out of me,
I bet.
because when we had the
You didn't know you were so strong.
when we
Oh,
had
yeah, I
the
did.
EU, right, and they moved to the euro, a regional currency, everybody flipped out, rightfully so. And now we're talking about a global currency.
Global. So that way, and see, this is, most people, if they don't do business
I'm a big fan
international,
already just for that reason.
right? Or they don't have
Come on,
family
Jesus.
international. To send money to anybody in Western Union, you know how much the fees are, how long it takes. Even if I want to go to the bank, I can't just pull out $10,000 if I wanted to, right?
Yeah, that puts you on the what is
Watch
it?
list.
Exactly,
list,
you know,
yeah.
and then it takes you forever to get it. Or if I wanted to send you 10,000 to get it into his bank account would take forever. Now you could just literally say, "Oh, here's some Bitcoin," right? And that's the exciting part about doing global business and helping families everywhere is that now you have the immediate interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I can make sense out of that with the currency, with the money, but like, how do I get the good or service that you're underlying with it?
He said good or service, not gooder service.
Good or
I like
service.
gooder. The gooder is good.
Good
How do you get the gooder service?
How do you get the gooder service?
I want the good service.
You know, so if I'm trying to
For
buy,
the
if I'm
gooder
trying to
service.
buy
Most
your
bestest.
1980 Walkman,
Yeah,
and I want to give you a half a Bitcoin for it,
right.
I can give you the half a Bitcoin. That's the easy part. How are you going to get me the? You know, you still got to ship it through
Yeah.
customs.
It's just the same
and-
business. It's just another currency that you're
Right,
doing.
but see, he brings up a good point there. Even though the currency is without borders, if you buy something, let's say I buy cheese from Switzerland,
The logistics
the
involved.
logistics
with
are
that.
still involved, and there's still going to be a cost involved with some of that stuff.
Well, I
And
have
there's
an
still gonna be
e-commerce
government.
store, so I should have stuff shipped from China all the time, right? And I have
Sure.
stuff shipped from Vietnam. I got stuff shipped from Fort Worth. It doesn't really matter. Everything nowadays is a global shipping platform.
In
Is
case
this-
the CIA or FBI are watching, I do not have any kind of business where I ship anything from anywhere. Just making that clear to you guys.
Just receives a lot of stuff.
But what about
Oh,
when you
they're
told
already
me?
saying-
Quit
I
looking
can
into
hear
my
them
bank
coming up.
accounts.
They're coming up the elevator right now.
Right. So, you know, we've got all kind of folks that have been chiming in and good comments. Torian was like, "Hey, Facebook is going to be around because they've evolved. They're not the same. They're not the same service that they were when they came out in April."
That's true.
Torian's
So,
really
yeah.
going to kick my ass.
Yeah,
They-
and he
they-
said, "Hey, Steve, by the
Hey.
way, give you a shout out."
Oh, thanks.
I agree with that. It's going to evolve, and it may have another evolution in it to stay relevant.
And it may not be Mark Zuckerberg at the helm.
But at some point,
Sure.
That's
Sooner
another
rather
nasty
than
No, the thing is,
later.
everything is cyclical.
That's
it
correct.
has a period where it has the apex, and then it goes. Look at, and this is a really bad example, so I apologize in advance. When cell phones first came out,
FBI.
when-
Boy, did you realize
I was like,
something?
"What the devil?" Yeah. Oh, wow.
Bang, bang, bang.
we
What?
We almost shot him. Yes.
Ruby
Yeah.
Ridge Part 2.
Yeah. Right.
But when cell phones first came out, they were horribly expensive. They were hard to get a hold of, and they were like huge. There was this big bag that you carried around, whatnot. And as they got smaller, which was about this size and about this size, about this size, this
And
for
then
all-
it went, remember it was
yeah. And then we got to where teeny tiny.
they were
where-
like, I can't hold this.
where it was practically like it's on your tongue. You're like, wait, let me take this call. You know, I mean, they got really small, and now we're bigger. We're like almost tablets. We've
Yeah.
gone back to that thing. One, because we couldn't hear. Two, we couldn't see. But that's that's just the
We're
physical
getting older.
limitations. Yeah, because we said, hey, I can't do anything with this thing. It's too small. I can't. I can't. You know, so that was the problem that we had with it. But what I'm saying is, it gets to where that point where they feel that they've gotten everything they can out of it, and then they go, well, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Let's go back over this way. And that's what I see. I see it as something that, and again, I hate to pick on PayPal, but when PayPal first came out, people were like, it seems kind of scamish. You're going to pay me with that. And then people were like, hey, I can run some scams with that. And they started legitimately, that's kind of weird to say, legitimately scamming people.
Legitimately running a little illegitimate
I
operation.
think
Yes.
with what we've had in our discussion today is that we have seen some of the criminal element around the world see a way to get in there and kind of throw the monkey in the wrench here and see if they can scam off a little bit of real value.
They
to
always
this.
find a way.
And they always
Yeah,
find a way.
well,
So
and I
once they
mean-
lock that down, I think it might evolve into something a little bit
Quick
more.
Well, yeah,
disclaimer,
the-
disclaimer. I am no way being paid by PayPal or done anything.
Yes.
I have no.
There's
stock.
lots of
I've done-
disclaimers on this show.
So you're not going to Mars.
I'm not gonna work.
You know, I mean, there was the whole like the website, the Silk Road thing, which if you had, you just made a funny look at me like.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a website that set up that basically was like a free for all. You could buy, sell anything. It was like black market. Is basically what it was, right? And so that's kind of what was one of the concerns from the digital currency aspect was that there's literally nobody to oversee it, right? As far as any kind of governmental regulation or anything else. So I could use Bitcoin to buy a kilo heroin or whatever. I don't even know. I just probably like said something really stupid.
I mean,
Kilo
Well,
of
and
cocaine,
and
whatever.
that's the best part is because people say that to me all the time. They're like, but the drug dealers and the bad people use this. And I'm like, they don't use U.S. dollars, really?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still launching them via catapult over the border and back and
One of my
away.
YouTube videos was this half comedian guy, but half intellectual. But it was a really good video. But he said something like, that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's going to be like for drugs and illicit prostitution and all this. But it's like, you know what? Go try to buy some guns on the black market. Go try to buy kilos on the black market. They're going to say, Bitcoin. I need cash. I
Yeah.
need some cash.
Listen,
So
I don't
that's
have
it.
any problem buying
Game
drugs
over.
or. Never mind. No, I'm kidding.
I do not know.
I'm
this
kidding.
man.
I'm kidding. More again with the FBI. They'll be beating on the door here in a second again.
Dean,
yeah.
don't do it.
By the way, our sponsor is in the house. One of our sponsors is in the house, Dean DeBasey, with First Choice Home Loans. Super cool guy. He's hanging out in the conference room, and he was beating on the door earlier when we were referencing the FBI.
Almost got shot.
Yeah, so yeah, he almost got shot. Beating on the door there, because half of us are packing in the room. Figure out which ones that is. So anyway, so I mean, we've had comments here. Stephanie chimed in. She said, "Very focused, listening to this interesting debate going on." I think a lot of people have questions about it, and like all things new, fears and concerns and all that sort of thing. So I definitely want to hear your questions, guys. What are your questions about cryptocurrency? We're asking the question, is it here to stay? But right behind that is, if you don't think it's here to stay, then why? What's your reasoning behind it? If you believe it's here to stay, why? What's your reasoning on it? Chime in with your thoughts so that we can pose them here on the panel and dig into it. So I kind of want to go back to the question I had earlier, which was, what problem is it solving? The first thing we said was that it's eliminating some of the fees, right? I hate PayPal for that reason. Like they just will rip you a new one percentage wise, right? I use them for this show, the Whine show, right? I send out an invoice with it and everything else. I mean, at the end of the day, because I don't do enough transactionally to justify setting up any kind of account, with any kind of merchant. It just doesn't make sense. I literally send out 4 invoices a month. That's it for sponsors that I have. But I look at that fee that comes through on it, and I'm just like, good grief. I mean, it is a lot. It's a lot.
I won't
And
tell you how many fees, much I pay fees every
I
year.
use it in
It's
a way that
annoying.
I don't pay fees. I use it to buy stuff online.
Sure. You're
And
on the other end of it.
Right, and
Yeah.
so for me, I love PayPal for that reason because, PayPal could always get hacked, but the way I feel it is I'm not having to enter my credit card information into the hackable sphere of the online merchant. Instead, they have to go to PayPal and get the encrypted version of the payment. So to me, it feels like it's a level of security for my banking and
Well,
credit card
that's why
information.
your credit card never suddenly gets someone charging it in Chicago buying something. You're like, what? I mean, how many times has your credit card been
Cloned or whatever.
right? Or bank accounts. My bank account's been, completely. I was like, why does it say 0?
Someone recently stole my bank account information and they deposited money because they
That's so nice of them.
they
Well, I think what's
I
really
need
funny
to
is
they
look
felt
at
so
if-
bad.
If
You
somebody
saw it,
did,
you're like, oh,
if
man.
somebody
my
did
God,
manage
this
to
guy
hack
can
into your
tell.
account and they see the balance and they go, I'm not going to mess with this
Yeah,
guy. He ain't got
I
nothing
feel
to
sorry
steal.
for this guy. Let's
So there
leave him.
you go.
Let's
If
leave
you
him
just
20.
keep a low balance, then you're all right. That's
Taylor
the struggle.
Taylor Chapman asked a couple questions here. Taylor said, "What do you think about asset transfer platform to track business inventions, inventories? Can you? I'm blind. All right. So right now, my son is behind the scenes operating the
You want me to read it?
operating the camera, or not operating the camera, operating the comment feed. My
Scroll.
daughter is at prom. If you can't tell, I'm a little frazzled.
Wow,
all right, yeah.
prom.
Yes, it's our first one.
And you didn't have pictures to show it to everybody? That
Right, I know, right?
You should have
And
put those on
yeah,
there.
beautiful dress. I mean, like, yeah, she's
Aw.
definitely,
You
you
can
know.
do this.
Yeah, no. She would freak out if we did
Were you
that.
cleaning your shotgun when the young man came over to pick her up?
I'm here. That's so I can't be home.
He
So-
Oh.
He couldn't
So-
stop crying.
So
long
mom,
enough.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
so your wife
See, I
has
wish
a
Jeff-
shotgun.
Yes.
I wish
oh,
Jeff-
that's even better.
The
I
wife-
wish Jeff could explain some of this.
The wife is testing for her black belt in May, so you know that's a family thing.
Shotguns
so
are
you got to
easier.
keep the no.
Hey,
she'll
Jeff,
she'll
let's
just
get
blow
you
out his knee and it'll be all over with. All right, so we had a question here posted. Now my son is talking. Now he's on it. He just copied and pasted ginormous text on the scene for blind
Man, I
dad.
can read that from 30 feet away.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think of asset transfer platforms to track business inventories as well as eliminating sectors such as title companies? And this is actually, that's eliminating title companies. That's a very interesting thing. Contracts, digital contracts, and that the whole blockchain technology and all this sort of thing, being able to do digital contracts is a really interesting thing. Also, a good metaphor I've always used for people is arcade tokens. Everyone knows how Chuck E. Cheese
Yeah.
and Namco coins work from a very young age.
Only
To
at
be
Chuck E.
honest,
Cheese.
that's what I really
Thank
thought
you,
Bitcoins
Taylor
were at first,
Chapman.
like arcade tokens.
Okay, so Taylor, the asset transfer platform to track business inventories. The elimination of title companies, the danger to that is that if you're not knowledgeable enough, first of all, if I go buy a house from Steve, and Steve doesn't actually own the house, and I buy the house and I don't do a title search, I don't have the mechanism in which to provide the bona fides that actually show that I'm purchasing that, then I've just given Steve a bunch of money that I'm never going to get back.
Oh.
So the danger in that is that there's too much other stuff that goes into play on a transaction like that where that wouldn't work out. Now, as far
You
as
know Steve well.
I actually bought a house from Steve.
I
used,
took the money and run.
I used
I need to
Joe's
be on
money.
the artist edition.
Yeah.
I used Joe's money, you know, that he got deposited mysteriously from probably some.
They just,
South
Deal
let,
he
American
did.
Bank.
they just let me 20 with a note that said I'm sorry. So
Michael L.
Whatever that was about.
One thing that we
South
didn't really even talk
American.
about too is how with crypto right now, there's a huge opportunity for small business owners to stand out from their competition. So if you're one of the very few people that are like, yeah, I take Bitcoin and other altcoins, and then none of your competition does, well, those people with the coins now have an option to go to you and not to anybody else.
Except I don't think that markets to a large number of your potential customers because I think such a limited percentage of people actually have Bitcoin.
Oh no, it's a huge.
And-
It's almost $5 trillion in a couple of years.
But I'm saying how many people, like how many people in this room have Bitcoin? You, right? So
Yeah,
that's,
but then that's one person. If I was like, gosh, I really
if
need to buy a
20% of the
house.
population had Bitcoin, that'd be pretty
How many
Right.
Bitcoins
Yeah.
you got?
globally. To your point, and I'm definitely no expert. I'd asked a friend of mine, Ken Griffin, who's up in New York, who's also very heavily involved. And he's actually been involved in cryptocurrency for years now. But he ranted and raved about the digital contract aspect of this and the blockchain, how it connects to, in essence, there's a ledger that always exists, right? And so the function that title companies serve in looking up information isn't even needed, right? If you have a purchase of an asset and that asset is always on an active ledger that anybody in the world can verify at any time they want, it's basically an open record. It's just moving from point A to point B, and that is always a tracked process. Then the who's going to go, oh, I need to verify it? Well, anybody can verify it at any time. There doesn't need to be any kind of
But see,
process to search it.
that's an eventual thing. That's the thing. You have to have the first one answered, and then over time it becomes the norm.
Mhm.
Right.
Right now, we're not at that point.
For sure. No,
And that's where the hesitancy lies with people, and why we're not willing to just say, oh sure, I'll take a Bitcoin. Here's my house, because we're not. It hasn't been, for lack
Yeah,
of a better
but they
term,
could take the
legitimized.
Bitcoin and just turn it into U.S. dollars. So they could immediately just go and exchange it and take the money if they didn't want to keep it in Bitcoin.
But who would do that?
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Wait,
So a lot of
what-
people will buy a
So
car.
as an individual, or could
so-
I go to Chase Bank and say, I have 3
Not
Bitcoins
Chase,
here?
you go to an exchange.
Exchange,
A
okay.
Bitcoin
Right.
exchange,
Yeah, you have to
Right.
go to an exchange.
But see, the
I
fact
don't
that
know.
the fact that he asked that question, did I say asked?
Axe.
The fact that he the
I
fact that he
says-
tried to figure out, he wouldn't know how to do it,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm getting
whole
at.
education.
Transactionally, it may be a sound policy at some point, but right now it's still we're still sitting there going, okay, there's 100 pennies in $1.
Oh, believe me,
and we're
I
still
try to get
learning
people
that.
to buy Crytocurrency, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, you have to do this, and you got to do this. But that's just the education that you have to go through right now. People just don't know. So the people that do know, I think it's really an obligation to teach people. This is the teaching moment in our lives, right?
So you're just saying I just write the person's name that I'm giving the money to on this piece of paper, and then like the dollar amount,
Yeah,
and then
right.
I give it to them.
And you rip
then-
it out of a little book. Why would you
Book?
rip it out? Why? And you have to write it down. How much you give them?
Kind of imagine this conversation taking place 150 years ago when we were dealing in coins, silver and gold and
so you
some
have a-
paper money,
you've
but
got
those
this little-
notes were silver certificates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see those very often.
No, we don't see those at all anymore.
So there is going to be a transition. There is going to be a learning curve. There are going to be college courses taught about this, probably rather sooner than later. So,
On YouTube.
either that or, you go to San Jack here and take an elective course, that you didn't have anything to do on a Tuesday night. So, boom.
Or ask your grandkid,
It's probably going to end up being like that, yeah.
You're going to take an elective course taught by your grandson.
Exactly.
All right, Grandpa, but you need to take some notes this time.
Yes. I swear I explained this to you like Tuesday. Okay, so I again want to return to that comment because, or to the question I should say, about problems that it's solving, right? And where do you see it going? One of the questions I have is like, what is stopping, the Jesus coin, like as you mentioned earlier, what's stopping all these different companies from popping up, and will that dilute the whole, value of the coin, so to speak?
Well, so what they're doing is they're trying to get control over because anybody right now can go create a coin. Anybody. Well, that means that no one was backing
That's
it with
another
anything.
business venture.
Right.
Yes.
Wine no wine coin coming to you.
Exactly.
I just can't believe they've named it Jesus coin. I'm going, man, the whole
So-
concept is
Have
just...
you looked at the other names? The Ethereum coin?
Yeah.
That's a big
Ethereum
one,
is
though,
great.
right?
Yeah,
Ethereum
that
is a big
one's
one.
So there's,
well, it's not a Bitcoin. It's actually a different coin. It's an
Sometimes I
altcoin.
think people are
But-
not really taking themselves seriously with this.
But they do. It's all marketing, right?
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's
oh my
a mar-
gosh,
it's a
it's
marketing
Jesus
thing.
coin. It's got to be good luck, whatever. But what they're doing now is the exchanges, like for Crytocurrency, when it wanted to go on to hit BTC for the the exchange, they had to put up $1 million. So now to go onto the exchanges to make it legitimate, you got to put some cash down, right? And so they're starting to look at, how are you going to weed out the people that have no money to back it?
See, that's funny because that's like having a cell phone that loses battery life so much and so fast that you have to plug it in, and in essence, you made it a landline. That's what you're doing with the digital currency. Now you need gold to back up your digital currency. That's actually kind of funny in a way. The way that's
No, that's just
that's
the
the way. I
exchanges,
know. That's what I'm
right?
saying. In essence, that's kind of what's happening there. It's almost kind of.
I wonder if that's
ironic.
a detriment, is really trying to force some kind of a commodity value to
Oh, let me tell you,
this cryptocurrency. I mean, that may be one way that some people are willing to spoof it, and the traditional dollars and cents and gold and oil backing of dollars and
I tell you what, if Bitcoin was
currencies around
based
the
on
world.
gold, dude, I'd be buying it
Yeah.
right now.
Those standards are going to fight against this. So they're going to find they're doing it right now. Probably they're figuring out a way. How can we?
We had another
Torpedo
comment
this.
from Taylor here, and I can't see again because
Raven
Coin.
Coin is working towards a system that
Wow, there we go. There we go. Taylor Chapman said Raven Coin is working towards a system that tokenizes small businesses in a way that would allow locals to fund and receive dividends over time based on that business's success, backed by overstock and being built from the ground as SEC compliant.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I before E, except after C.
Except he just copied and pasted
I understand.
Taylor, so.
I know, not your fault.
Yeah. You're getting grammar critiqued in the studio there, Taylor. Sorry about that. There's that kind of goes back to what I was saying. There's like anybody can come up right now, and that was the one of the cool things about Bitcoin to me was that you can't just print more, right? Because there was a set amount. I
They
like
had a run, and
Each
that's
coin
it.
has a limit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we
now.
can we counterfeit a Bitcoin?
No,
I
no,
thought I heard a story a year or so ago that somebody had
no.
counterfeited one.
They're all.
Or
I mean, it's
a
all.
It's probably they made like a hard copy looking one. Or something.
Yeah.
You can trick people, right? You can be like, hey, you take the Bitcoins?
Yeah.
There's a
Right.
Bitcoin right here. See, it's got the
Yeah.
symbol on there. It's a Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's a there's a digital encryption. There's an identity basically to all of them, and the ledger tracks their movement to and from and all that
And
stuff.
I would say to please, when you get your wallets, that you get like a 16-digit code. There is no password reminder. So if you lose your password, buy money.
That
So
sounds horrible.
right.
I mean,
But
you just
to
destroyed
me,
the whole thing.
To me, this is like the
People
best thing
forget
ever
stuff.
because finally people are needing to be responsible adults.
Oh, I
to
know.
remember
I'll just get a
things.
tattoo of it right here.
And
Well,
there
they
goes
want
the
me
other
back
half
as
of
long
the
as
Yeah,
it's
conversation.
still-
that'll
yeah.
really work.
Come on, Lord, come take
But
us.
I do know a lady who bought Bitcoin at $10 a coin, and she had 20,000 coins, and she can't get into her wallet. So,
But she still owns it. That
She
number
owns it, but she
owns
doesn't
it.
know.
So
She
what's
doesn't
going to
know.
happen to it?
It just sits there.
That would be.
I'll
That
hack
would
your
be.
account for her.
That's horrible.
That'd be horrible.
She's
yeah,
tried.
that'd
She's
be.
tried the
that'd
best
be.
hackers in the world to try to.
She's like A one.
Yeah, everything.
A. She's just going through one possibility at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
So,
that
yeah,
It'll be the
definitely
next
would.
Extra
millennium
coin.
before somebody
I'm
ever
out.
gets close.
That definitely. Yeah, right. That just did it for me.
I'm going to will you this process because you're going to be rich if you figure out the code.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, you know what, guys? I mean, this is a subject that there's a lot of folks don't know much about. I mean, there really is a lot of questions. It's still very new for a lot of folks. It's been around. When did Bitcoin come out?
9 years ago.
9 years. Holy cow! I mean, like in technology years, that's what
That's
like
huge.
109.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
from like
realistically, it's only
Samsung
been-
S4 to Samsung S8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 or 9. Yeah,
Easily.
something like that.
Yeah, but that's also the you used to know good. Looking at that, how fast it's really only the last 3 years or so
Fine.
that it's really
Spilling
grained.
again.
I think
It was
it's
just a
enough for
little
you.
And
bit.
then like, the fluctuations that's happened in this last year, right?
Huh?
And then the fluctuations that's happened in this last year.
Oh, yeah, it's
with
Yeah.
all the
Very
attention.
volatile.
Yeah, but you look at there's always a reason for things, just like the stock market and everything. Everything has a reason for when it goes up and when it goes down.
Attention.
And most people just don't understand it. But what I really love, you want to know the thing I really love about this, is it actually opens the eyes to people on fiat currency. Because finally, I tell you how many people, they're like, well, the United States, our coin and our dollars are backed by gold. And I'm like,
Are you smoking crack?
I know.
That you paid for with your Bitcoin illegally?
Yeah, right? I'm
That
like,
needs
what?
that graph needs to be posted on the Wine to Wine show.
Coin
website.
desk.
Yeah.
That is
Post
too
that.
steep of a up curve.
Look at that.
Yeah, but there was a reason for everything, right? And so you always look at, with anything, if you look at the U.S. dollars, people don't realize that every moment of the day the U.S. dollars fluctuates up and down, right? So it's finally people are actually learning about things that they should have known for a long time. So it's kind of, to me, an eye-opening experience for people, finally, because they're having to learn about something that they were like blind to.
Okay, I will say this because I'm just a contrary person, but you're asking a lot of people that sit around eating Tide Pods.
Tide
man.
Pods?
Tide
That's
Pods.
Tide.
priceless.
Tide
Oh,
Oh, I love
those
it.
people just die and they go
Well,
away.
no, and now the new one is they're snorting condoms through their
Yeah,
nose
they are.
and pulling them out their
Pulling
mouths.
out the other side.
And
I
some of
kept
them-
trying to tell them, man, there's
Oh,
cotton
that's-
candy in the
that's-
attic, kids.
that's
So
a
go
decade
up there
old.
and shout out.
That's jackass.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just
Steve-O.
there's always gonna be stupid people. You can't do
Yeah.
anything about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Advantage us.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Jingle.
So
We
that
look
just
good.
kind of grossed me out. Way to go there, Saul.
God, you're
So-
such a downer.
Yeah.
Man.
So listen, guys, keep posting your questions and your comments on the subject.
We need to do this one again.
I normally go back and address every comment on the comment feed. Since I don't know what the hell I'm talking about on this subject, I don't know that I'll be doing that. But keep posting them, because I'll just ask Tonya, and she might answer them.
He'll forward all of your questions.
Right.
To Tonya.
But no, I Taylor, thank you for chiming in. And there was another gentleman, I can't remember what was at in the comment feed, so I can't remember who it was, that said he was posting it to all of his
Victor.
Bitcoin groups. Victor, yes, Victor. That was going to post it to all his cryptocurrency groups and all that sort of thing. So, we'll get people probably chiming in after the fact that we'll have, insights and thoughts on the subject, that sort of thing. But it's to me, it's a fascinating thing. It really is. There's aspects to it that I really like. I like removing government from it. I think government screws everything up. There's aspects where you want a certain degree of control and making sure it's it's legit. I get that, but I mean for me, I'm I look at government side-eyed all the time. It's just with a sharp stick in my hand kind of a thing, So the less we have, the better for me. So there's that aspect that I like. It's not something that can just be reprinted and all this sort of business exponentially. I like that about it. The concerns I have on the fiat currency side, all that stuff, it's not based on anything. I don't like that part of it. I wish it was a commodity-based thing. If it was a gold thing to me, I would just I'd be shouting from the mountaintops.
I'd move all my money almost.
Yes, exactly. Same.
I would have no problem with that.
There's technology aspects to it that I think are going to revolutionize a lot of industries, and that's the ledger process and how it is tracked, that anybody can verify where the coin went from and to, and all that stuff. So there's a lot to it that I think is going to be revolutionary in the years to come, and it will change, as does all technologies. It will change the way we do business and the way we interact and all that sort of thing. And it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I've been just kind of watching it and see what's going to happen with it. So
I have a closing argument.
Oh, go ahead.
Or point, and I've held on to it the whole show on purpose.
Wow.
And I was worried Joe was going to steal it a few times. Is cryptocurrency here to stay? It is not, because the creature from Jekyll Island will never allow it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Will never allow
I agree.
it.
Well, hang on.
Government messes stuff up. There is an inevitability that government will eventually find a way to take
If there's
control.
something to blow up, if there's somebody to kill, if
I
there's
would
somebody to
submit-
destroy, they will find a way.
I would submit that the creature from Jekyll Island is doing what they always do. If they can't kill it, they will consume it, and which means that that was kind of what I was touching on with the whale comment.
Yeah.
They'll just figure out their way to manipulate it and make their money off of it. Whether they
That's why the banks are already getting into it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Chase is getting into it. There's a bunch of people that already are involved in getting into it. So it's the bank cartels that own the entire world will make sure that they make money.
Yeah, because they're sweating right now.
Yeah. So anyway. All right. Today's show we had. I can't even tell you what it was. Alex is going to throw it up on the screen. It's a French name. Sorry, French people. I suck at this part. I can say Bright Willow. That's cool.
Nice.
I know both
Bright
of those.
Willow in French?
I know both of those words, Bright and Willow. Bright Willow. Now it's a Coteau de Miramont Carignan.
Would you like me to take over that part?
What, do you know French?
Oui.
Even
Okay,
said it with a
this
kind of a
even says,
snobby,
yeah.
snobby.
This is an incredibly picturesque city of Carcassonne on the border to España. And this Carignan wine is a classic variety in southern France. And you know what? We had a great time with this wine.
Yeah.
To me, it was very drinkable. I thought it was going to be something that I was going to have to, but I didn't do that. So I was really impressed with it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.5 just on its own. I would think that you could pair that with something which would make that a fabulous dinner wine. So that's my take on it. Finished very well, by the way, for a red.
So,
3.5.
So I guess 5 is the best and 1 is...
Yes, and you can rate halves
Sorry.
and quarters and whatever you want. You can
1/3.
3.271.
Right.
Ethan, by the way, you got to keep track of the numbers here. You got it?
Oh.
You're doing it. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
I will give it a 4 because realistically, I can't stand red wine, and I actually drank the whole thing because I actually liked
You
it.
did.
So I think I would even
You got a
drink it
little bit left
again.
in there,
I
huh?
know I could.
I'm going to have to kill it.
I will tell you, that this is my second time having this. The first bottle I had, slight difference between the two. This one had just a little bit more acidity to it, a little bit more of a bite than the first bottle I had. And the first bottle for me was a 5. I just absolutely loved it. Now, I might have had more to drink that night and just don't remember. But tonight, a little more discerning. It's still, for me, a very enjoyable wine. I absolutely would buy this wine. I would have it again. I agree with Steve. For me, it would be a great wine to have with a meal. The tasting notes said a spiced roast duck. I could totally see that. A good kind of a hearty meal with a lot of zesty flavors to it. This would pair perfectly with that. So for me, it was a solid 4.
I won't go into a dissertation like they did. I am not a wine drinker. By
Are you
any stretch
French
of
too?
imagination.
I won't say as much
Je
as
ne sais
these
quoi.
idiots.
Sorry, you silly man. No, I'm not a wine drinker by any stretch of the imagination. I've told the guys that there's before, but it was actually fairly decent for somebody who doesn't drink wine.
Really?
I gave it a 4. I actually thought it was pretty good.
All I know is I'm the resident not wine drinker here. You don't get a
That's
hone in
right.
on that.
You get that one, man. You get that.
Horn
So-
in on that one there.
So let me tell you, this wine is everything I don't want wine to be.
Wow.
This,
oh, the bell.
So what kind of wine is this? What is this?
Red.
So the Pinots I like. What is this? This is a.
It's a very
Is
unusual.
it called a red? Is it called
It's a red, but it's a
Merlot?
Carignan.
Okay.
Carignan.
So this, all the things that I've described before about not liking wine, it has a very good taste in that first millisecond that it hits your lips, and then it goes down, and my stomach is burning. It took me the whole hour to fight through that one glass.
You're gonna need
It's
an egg
been-
roll after this.
It's been a rough hour, guys.
Oh.
But
Oh God.
but
I've got some Pinot in the fridge.
I've
I'll
had
take
some
care of it.
good ups and downs, and this was definitely for me a low a low point in my wine. No wine.
Wow.
I'm giving it 1/2.
Oh!
0.5.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's the beauty of wine. It's like music. It's like art. It's like, movies, cinema, whatever else. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. For one man's half stars, another man's 4.
It's like opera. Either you like getting yelled and screamed at, or you do, or you don't, or whatever. Yeah.
What?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I love all the
Really
comments.
mixed it up.
Taylor, thank you for chiming in. Stephanie, thank you for chiming in. I know there was a lot of people that were actually, we kept a very steady audience through the whole show. I think this is a subject that people are definitely curious about and want to know more about. So, pop your questions up on the comment feed, even after the show. If you guys are coming in after the fact, leave your comments. If I can't answer it, I don't know how to answer it, which is very likely. I will pass it on to people who do know, and and we'll get answers. Hopping back there. I'll encourage her to look at the comment feed. In the next couple days. So anyway, fun stuff, fun show. We will be back again next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. with the artist edition of the show and.
Dun, da, da, da.
Dun, da, 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 the year-end finale. Yes, bing! We definitely needed our. We're coming up on our year anniversary. Next week, Friday, will be a special show, and we're gonna have a live studio audience here.
No birthday
Art?
suits, right?
No birthday suits. No birthday suits. Yeah, we're gonna have a live studio audience, about 20, 25 people. Hanging out, past guests of the show. Hopefully you can come. All right, fantastic. So we're going to have a panel like always, but we're going to have a live studio audience. I don't honestly even know what that's going to look like yet. My production crew's looking at me and like freaked out right now.
No.
We're going to figure out how to get some cameras on the audience and maybe throw some questions to the audience and all that sort of thing, and have some fun with it. But
Are they gonna sit on our laps?
yeah, we're gonna hold them, 2 or 3 people each,
Hang 'em
And
from the
yeah,
ceiling?
yeah.
Nice.
Some trapeze
Mission
work
Impossible.
maybe. No. We're just gonna have them. We're gonna probably film out there, right? And out there, you know, out there, outside of the studio in our big area.
Is it going to become
And,
like a press conference in Washington,
yes.
D.C. at the White House?
Yes, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, we're gonna have a lot of fun with it, and you know, I've got some ideas on what we're gonna do with the show. But we've had over 160,000 views of the show in the first year.
A force to be reckoned with.
From just a goofy idea.
From just this show.
2:30
This
in the
show
morning.
right here, people are going to type in a search in cryptocurrency.
Yes.
And this is going to pop up because we had an hour and a half on this subject alone.
Yeah.
So they may learn something. They may think, oh, gosh, those guys are full of beans. But, you know, at least something was discussed.
Yeah.
It's gonna be shared all over like.
Look at these idiots.
YouTube vlogs is gonna go. Hey
Oh, yeah.
y'all, if you want to understand exactly what cryptocurrency is not, watch this.
Watch
show.
this
Watch these morons and one person that halfway knows what they're talking about.
I'll be getting a cease and desist order from
Right,
PayPal. with
right,
talking
right.
about us.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm being investigated by the FBI and CIA for drug
Knock
trafficking.
at the door. The
Yeah.
FBI is coming.
Yeah.
Just
So-
Dean.
Anyway,
Next
next
up,
week is going to be a big show.
A really big shirt.
And after that, it starts season 2, episode 1. So it's a crazy moment. We're gonna celebrate the past year. So you definitely want to chime in, or hop on the show, comment, celebrate with us because it's a big moment. It's a big moment for me personally, for just a goofy idea, literally that 2:30 in the morning, and posted about it and got like 100 and something comments like that day. About the idea, and people like Steve wanting to volunteer and be a part of it like from day one, and I was just kind of blown away by it. I was like, wow, okay, maybe there's something to this idea. At the end of the day, I think America knows we have a problem and that we can't sit down together and like on this subject having very opposing views and very opposing ideas and talk about it civilly, like just normal human beings. Like, I don't need to kill you just because I disagree. Like, you're not gonna grow a disagree tumor and die.
I'm going to steal your wallet now.
If I
and
could
we're
just
all
remember your
Just get my
19-digit
tattoo.
Right,
code.
right.
Yeah, that's,
Just read his tattoo.
right. We're all just made better by this kind of dialogue, and I think everybody kind of knows that and feels that in their heart, and that's why the show has continued to grow like it has. And I thank you guys for being a part of it. So anyway, tune in Thursday night to watch some amazing local artists, musicians do their thing and talk like we always do. And then Friday, 5 o'clock, right here, same bat time, same bat channel for the anniversary show. Right? Yes. All right, guys.
Holy cryptocurrency back then.
Holy cryptocurrency Batman. Oh, wow. That was like an old reference all at once there.
That's why you
Anyway,
bring me on for comedy
thank you
relief.
guys for being here. We're out. We will see you next week.
All right.